All right, so we got Gregg Bowman here in the studio, and we're talking about the AC guy of Tampa Bay. You're helping keep homes cool, helping keep the humidity down, and man, it's a necessity these days.
Yeah, it definitely is. It was hard to live in Florida before air conditioning. I can't imagine doing it, and it's a large part of why Florida has the population that it does today is because of air conditioning.
Yeah.
Actually, the whole South.
Sure.
Because of air conditioning.
Yeah, think about it. I mean, it was interesting. This story talked about how, in fact, it says major advances in air conditioning technology began in 1917 when theater owners wanted to fill seats during the sweltering summers with no home air conditioning. People flocked to movie theaters whose advertisements featured lettering dripping with icicles.
Right. Yeah.
Isn't that neat? That's pretty cool, yeah. Man. And in 1736, the English House of Commons was cooled by a 7-foot hand-cranked blowing wheel. The man at the crank was known as the ventilator. Isn't that interesting? So they were making ice back in the day. I guess an ice-making machine was patented as early as 1851, but American ice interest... anyway, so pretty interesting, man. The evolution of the air conditioning, and how I think it was on trains at one point, kind of early on in trains, I heard.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, Fred and I were talking about it right before the show. Flagler, who lived in Apalachicola, which obviously they're going through a tough time right now with Matthew just hitting that area, but his home was there. He actually was an early inventor of air conditioning. Actually, prior to Carrier's inventing of air conditioning, he had a wife who was sick and invented an air conditioning machine that basically would generate cool air and dump it into her bedroom. Never took because of the ice industry. The ice industry kind of quashed it. It wasn't until Carrier came out with what we consider modern air conditioning today that air conditioning really took on.
Wow. Yeah, it's fascinating to think about, the Henry Fords, the Thomas Edison, who has a Winter Estate home just east of where I grew up. So we'd go visit that and, learn about the light bulb and, some of the countless other, inventions that he created. Really cool, man, to think about that.
Right.
I mean, it really is. So today, now you've got complex systems that are running on, different types of, systems. So your team, you go out there and you keep them tuned up,
Correct.
Keep people cool.
Yeah, definitely. It's come a long way from, a hand crank blowing wheel called the ventilator.
The ventilator, yeah.
It's a cool name. Maybe we ought to start calling our air conditioners that today. Maybe be a little more interested in them or something. But yeah, it's definitely a lot more advanced. We're right on the cusps now of almost every air conditioner becoming smart. A lot of the manufacturers are putting the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth technology in them that in the next year or two, most air conditioners will be connected to the internet, and you'll be able to control it with your phone.
Yeah, that's amazing, and that's a good part of, to be able to be environmentally friendly is to have it on certain settings. If everybody's gone for the day, both husband and wife leave the house at a certain time. They could really tune those in to have it cool when you come home, and during the day, not so much.
Correct. Yeah, there's a lot you can do with it, and a lot of the technology is getting smart too. That it recognizes your schedule. So if you turn the thermostat down one day, it'll notice you did that, and the next day it'll do it for you.
Yeah,
and it'll keep repeating that. So it kind of tunes itself to your schedule. So yeah, definitely a long way from where they were in the beginning.
So when it comes to the homeowners out there, what the most necessary thing is to understand how the system works. It actually needs maintenance, just like your vehicle needs to have an oil change every so often. The air conditioning system's going to need maintenance throughout the year.
Correct. Yeah, and definitely a lot more than they did 40 years ago. Today's machines are a lot more complex. It's a lot more crucial, like it is for cars today, that they get that maintenance. We would recommend at least twice a year. Actually, minimum once a year, but it's better to do twice a year of a checkup on your system. Some of it you can do yourself. You can make sure your filters are clean. That's a homeowner necessity to make sure that they're staying clean. But you can check your drain yourself. Some of the more complex things, the refrigerant, the electrical components, that should be left to a professional. But some of it you can do yourself.
Yeah. And when every so often you hear, and I had it happen to 2 family members in the same year, the lines backing up, and then all of a sudden they're noticing ceiling tiles that are waterlogged and you got a drip coming through.
Yeah.
Most of the time, that's just build up in the line, right?
In the drain line, yeah, that's probably one of the most common calls that we get. We've got a few pictures. I don't know if we can do that now, but we've got some pictures of what you can do to deal with that, with that issue. But that is probably one of the most common, problems that we run into.
Perfect. So if you're watching our TV show, WeBeam TV, we're going to show you some pictures on screen. You can also stream it live from our website, consumerqb.com. We're going to go through some of the tips and tricks of the trade with Gregg Bowman, the AC guy of Tampa Bay. All right, we're back here in the studio. We got Gregg Bowman in the house, the AC guy of Tampa Bay, longtime friend of the program here. And we talk a little bit about the impact of air conditioning on society. And now we're going to pull up his website and also some other pictures and kind of talk a little bit about, different things that happen. So you mentioned the number one thing, one of the number one calls you get is, hey, we got a leak coming through. We're not sure what it is, but we think it's the AC.
Correct.
And it's the drain line.
Drain line issues are kind of the bane of our industry, I would say. They're no fun. Nobody wants to go out and clean out a clogged drain line, but they do cause a lot of problems. Most systems have a safety switch that will shut the unit down when the drain backs up, but sometimes those switches fail, and that's when you see watermarks on the ceiling or ceiling tiles falling. We've seen whole ceilings of rooms come down already with water, which
just drip.
Obviously,
drip.
that's not a good thing.
and the secret to the whole thing, the easiest thing to do is pour some vinegar down it every few weeks or so.
Correct. Yeah, and just keeping an eye on it, checking your drain is a good thing to do. But yeah, putting vinegar down the drain. Bleach can also be used. That's a little stronger. It's a little better to only do that as a professional or in a if you have to clean a real badly clogged drain. But vinegar occasionally helps kill the bacteria and the algae and slime that's growing in there and keep the line flowing.
Cool. Yeah, so that's one of the things that happened. It happened to two family members like within a couple of months, from each other, different cities. But yeah, it's just maintenance, man.
Yeah.
The maintenance side of the machine's going to run much more efficiently, and you're going to be able to keep the electric bills low.
Yeah, it's actually becoming a bigger problem in the industry too, because the industry has shifted away from copper coils to all aluminum. Copper is a natural antimicrobial, so the copper in the coil helps keep the drain line clean. When they started eliminating copper in the coils and going to today's systems, almost all of them are all aluminum, we started to see more drain line problems because there's nothing killing the bacteria that's washing down in the drain. So there are some products out there that can help with that, ultraviolet lights. There's actually one company that has out a pretty cool device. It's a little turbine fan that blows and generates ions and actually puts copper and silver ions down the drain. So there's some solutions to that, but yeah,
nice.
It's a huge problem.
That's really cool. All right, let's go through some of these pictures here. We're going to have Rob, our producer, put these up. So what do we got here? A panel board?
Yeah, first one's just showing your electric panel. Anytime you're going to mess around with your air conditioner, always a good time to make sure you shut your breakers off. Now, when you're looking at them, you want to make sure that you're looking for ones that are marked air conditioning, but also ones that are marked heat. We get a lot of calls where people say our air's not working. We go out, and it's because the heat breaker is turned off. The heat and air conditioning are tied together. One breaker's off, nothing works. So you want to make sure you're turning both of those off when you're working on it, both of them back on.
Okay.
When you're done. The picture here is an example of what we call a vertical air conditioner. It's one sitting in a closet vertically, so it's blowing up straight up. But you can see in this picture there's some black wires going down to a little device called a safety switch. That switch is a little cup that collects water. If water gets in there, it's going to cause the drain to shut down. So as a homeowner, very simple, just to pop that little top off, look in there. If there's any water in there, you got something going on with your drain. You better get that drain cleaned out. Shouldn't be water in there. Next one's a horizontal mounted air conditioner, and any horizontal air conditioner has underneath it what's called a secondary pan. This is a picture of that pan. Ironically, this is at our offices. When I went up to take these pictures, that pan had water in it. It should not have water in it. So I knew right away we had a drain line issue. So broke out a vacuum and cleaned the water out of that pan. That's, if you see water in that pan under your horizontal air handler, that should not be there. Just get a shop vac and get that cleaned out.
Yeah. Wow. And a lot of times you'll see some black mold or some mold kind of appearing around those, at least.
Yeah, especially the air handlers, because they're a cold device in a hot environment. Sometimes on the outside of them you'll see mold or mildew growth. can also be inside. Florida is just prime for that with our humidity levels where they are. Good idea to clean that up if you see it. There's things that can be done about that. We have solutions for that, but it's very common. It's not like you have to panic when you see that. A lot of people say mold and they start running, with their hands in the air, the sky's falling. It's not necessarily that bad, but good idea to keep an eye on it.
Right.
This picture is a picture of a drain line coming out outside. Anytime you have a drain line issue, you want to identify where it comes out outside so you can do the next step, which is the next picture of actually cleaning that line out. Just hook a shop vac up to that line, turn it on, and let it run. Let it suck that line out. While it's doing that, then on the next picture, you want to go back inside, and most systems should have a clean out. If it's an older system, it might not, but it's code now, so any newer system should have that. You open up that clean out, and you should hear it sucking air through that with your vacuum running when you get those clean outs open. And then while you're doing that, it's a good idea to put some bleach, if you're doing it professionally, or some vinegar into that clean out, and let that vacuum suck it down through the line. That'll clean any residual slime that's in there and kill it and get it out of there. So as a homeowner, those are some steps you can take to try and avoid a service call. If you do need us, we're here obviously to come out. We'll help you with that, but we'd obviously like to help you to do it yourself if you can.
Awesome. Yeah, it looks like you got a great team there helping you.
Yeah, we do. We're very proud of our team. We consider ourselves a family, and we consider Tampa Bay a family. We're trying to serve our Tampa Bay family with integrity and honor. That's our mission statement.
Yeah, speaking of that, in the past we've heard, on the show, just different, some of the, we talk about consumer advocate tips and tricks and things that people can do to stay alert, with, of course, the hurricanes, some of the hucksters come out after the hurricanes, the storms. But I think in general, just in Tampa Bay, you got to be careful of some of these contractors. They'll come out and look at your system and just say, oh, well, you need a new system, just real fast. What are you seeing in that area? I mean, people, some of the other competitors.
Yeah, it definitely is something to be cautious of. You want to make sure that whatever contractor you're doing business with, you've research them, because unfortunately there are over 400 contractors in the Tampa Bay market. 300 and some of them will be out of business within a year or two, and another 300 and some will be back in business. It's a very fluctuating market because guys are just in and out of business because they're not treating customers right. There's a lot of fraud, so just you got to be careful of who you're dealing with.
Yeah, because some of the components could be repaired instead of
Correct.
A whole new
Correct.
system.
Yeah, and it really depends. We do have in our company what we call the 5,000 rule. It's kind of a policy we use to help decide when it's better to replace versus repairing. The way that works is you take the age of the equipment times the cost of the repair. If it's over 5,000, then it's probably better to replace. Now you still have to make that decision as the homeowner yourself, but as our company, we would recommend if it's over that 5,000 mark. So if it's a 10-year-old unit and it's going to cost you $300 to fix it, we would say fix that. There's no reason to replace that. If it's going to cost you $2,000 to fix a 10-year-old unit, it's really time to have that conversation about replacing it.
I see.
It's kind of how we.
So what's the lifelong expectancy of an average?
Average today is between 10 and 12 years in the Florida market. I mean, we run them well over 3,000 hours a year. So, that's the average life expectancy. Now, it wasn't that when I started in the industry. It's, that's a whole nother conversation about, just where we've gone as society with our quality of products we produce. But, that's pretty much average today.
Yeah. All right, good stuff. Thanks so much, Gregg. The AC Guy of Tampa Bay. Check him out online. What's your website again?
It's www.acguyoftampa.com.
acguyoftampa.com. Top tips, nuggets of advice from the AC side.
Just based on what we talked about earlier, it's a good idea to keep on top of your air conditioner. Don't forget it. Give it the attention it wants and needs so that it will love you back and not let you sit in record heat.
Yeah. And when people have multi-unit zones, is that do you normally see that with a two-story structure? I mean, downstairs, upstairs. How do they set that up?
It really depends on how the house was built, but yes, in a two-story structure, it's almost a necessity to have multi-zones. If you don't, you're kind of asking for trouble because they're total different heat loads on those floors. So it's very hard to keep them equal temperatures or even temperatures with just one system, or one zone. So definitely in a multi-story structure, it's a good idea to have that split up into zones.
Yeah, it makes sense. Splitting up the zones. I'm always fascinated too about the idea of having generators. Those to be able to run the house if in the event of a power outage. I think that's a great idea, based on your budget. A budget comes into play a lot of times with those things, but and the impacts of solar and those things. There's a lot of things happening today, and people can really take advantage of technology.
Oh yeah, definitely. The generators, I think, are a huge thing. We actually made a very smart decision in my own home to put one in about a year before Irma hit. And let me tell you, we were completely happy for those 8 days that we had no power during Irma, that we had a whole house generator. So yeah, definitely.
Super cool. Great job today, guys. Greg Bowman, the AC guy of Tampa Bay.